Hey everybody, it's Chad and Natasha from Anabolic Aces Health Consulting.
Hi.
And we're here today to show you guys how we make our custom, super badass
Gut health smoothie.
Yeah,
We get asked a lot of times how to make a smoothie, what ingredients to put in it, so we're going to show it to you guys.
Yeah, so first of all, there's a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of pieces to this. The most obvious question is like, why is this worth it to me to go through all this effort? Like, why can't I just take my multivitamin or do something else to do this? So there's a big benefit to having this kind of diversity and having it in a natural food-based variety versus just taking a supplement or something like that. One of the obvious things is going to be that you're getting the bulk of like the water and the fiber content too, which is going to be really helpful for your digestion. There's also like a variety of different fibers from all these different sources that are going to blend very synergistically together. There's also going to be like a large diversity of micronutrients. Like one of the common things that we like to tell people is to eat the rainbow. So you can see here that there's a lot of different colors of vegetables, and everything kind of works together to play nicely. And the reason that we're going to want to do this, like what's the end goal of eating this, as say just eating like when I'm feeling lazy, I might just eat only some greens like this with a salad. Well, the really key part of this is that a lot of you probably heard about probiotics, and like probiotics like Megaspore, like we use a lot in our practice. They need something to eat, which is something called a prebiotic fiber. So you can get that in supplemental form again, but the actually most cost-effective and sustainable way to do that over the long term is going to be getting it right from whole food, and that way you're going to get all the rest of the things that are going to be helpful for digestion as well. So do you want to explain a little about the prebiotics?
Yeah, so the whole point of the smoothie is not necessarily to make like the yummiest smoothie that you're going to want to enjoy that's like full of sugar. What we're targeting here is specifically kind of like what Chad is saying, vegetable diversity, so a variety of vegetable sources. So we have, like he was saying, for example, like various green vegetables, like leafy greens that everybody talks about. And we have things like turmeric for inflammation, ginger to aid in digestion. Broccoli is super important cruciferous vegetable that helps with liver clearance. It's one of the few vegetables that helps with both phase 1 and phase 2 liver clearance and can assist with like hormone balance and that sort of thing. And then a variety of root vegetables that provide all the different fibers that are the prebiotic fibers that feed the probiotics. And then we're going to add things like nuts and seeds. Did you want to talk about the nuts and seeds and the fats?
Basically like a lot of these vegetables, like the main point of them, like we're saying, is like micronutrient diversity. Like for example, leafy greens having a lot of methylfolate, B vitamins for healthy hormones and balance and all of that sort of thing. There's also things like in sunflower seeds, sunflower, pumpkin, and almonds are the ones that we have here. Those nuts are a great way to have a trace amount, say, of like starches and carbohydrates for a little bit of that. They have some protein, but they also, and within that protein, they have important amino acids. Like in pumpkin seeds, for example, have a lot of tryptophan, which can help with serotonin production. So having a variety of these kind of provides like a complementary blend. And then in addition to that, with protein, we like to be of course, very comprehensive. So we'll add in something like, we typically use like egg white protein. This one happens to be a plant-based protein that we have that uses things like pea proteins and a variety of different protein sources. We also like to have some kind of an animal source protein that includes, like this one is collagen peptides, and you can also use like a bone broth protein or something that's going to have a lot of glycine and proline, which are really helpful for healing leaky gut, but also just, again, neurochemistry, a lot of protein building.
Plus, there are actually some really yummy tasting bone broth protein powders, so you can make your smoothie taste good with those as well.
And in terms of fats, again, we like to have multiple sources. MCT or coconut oil, our favorite is MCT. There's C8, C10 blends. C8 is going to be the best one for the keto diet.
Brain health.
Yeah, brain health. It's more quickly metabolized into ketones, which the brain can use as fuel and the body can use as fuel. We like to combine that with some kind of an animal fat. Ghee is a great one that we like, adds a little bit of flavor, kind of that buttery texture without any of the dairy component left in it, like the milk solids that can be kind of like harmful to the immune system in a lot of people. So to avoid that.
And to make this whole smoothie palatable, we do use some sweeteners. So here's an example. We use honey, and we do go pretty easy on the honey because it is still like a source of sugar. So we go lightly on the honey, but then you can complement that with things like monk fruit sweetener, which is not glucose based and it doesn't get metabolized the same. You can use stevia, that's a popular sweetener as well. And then in addition to all the vegetables, we do add like a little bit of fruit. So you don't want to overwhelm your vegetable smoothie with fruit. So like don't replace all your vegetables with fruits, but like maybe half an apple for all of this, or maybe like half a banana, again, to make it more palatable. And what we don't have pictured here is berries. So berries are cool, fresh or frozen, things like blueberries, tart cherries. Again, try not to don't go overboard on the berries and not make it too sweet, because it's the whole point is we're trying to avoid all the sweetness and all the sugar. But yeah, definitely berries.
And one other thing that I like to do, one cool tip is like, this is raw ginger, adding just about this amount of raw ginger. It adds a lot of flavor to the smoothie, which is really complementary to the vegetable flavor without having to add a lot more sugar, which I really like. I really like, with like she's saying with the honey, maybe keep that at like a teaspoon, very small amounts, because the whole point of this is having like, we want to feed the good bacteria. So the good bacteria are going to be thriving more kind of like protein, fat, and primarily like this really rich fiber vegetable source, plant matter. Another thing will help, and it also helps with more of the probiotic side, is kombucha. One tip on this, if you decide to make a big batch like I do and save it for the next day, you be careful on how much of the kombucha or how much probiotics you add directly to the smoothie, which if I'm going to drink it immediately you consume it, that's fine. But if you're going to let it sit for a day, these little bugs are going to eat the smoothie because it's yummy. That's the whole point. But it might make your smoothie taste a little fermenty.
Yeah, we've had that happen before. We call it the vomit smoothie. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, so the more of that you put in, the more you're going to get. Same thing with digestive enzymes. If you add them in, if you're going to drink it immediately, you can. But I mean, you better drink it quick because it'll start digesting. A few other complementary things for supplements, like
biohacking.
Mineral drops, we typically add to all of our water, so this is a great time to add it in. Also,
Himalayan salt.
Yeah, Himalayan salt, which can help, like a helpful tip if you have a trend on the low blood pressure side, adding some extra salt to your food like this is going to help. They always talk about too much salt for high blood pressure, but low blood pressure doesn't really get talked about that often. And then a couple other superchargers, calcium ascorbate, which is a form of vitamin C for immunity, is always great. We always love having that around. And then this is a supplement we recently started using that is just directly something called short chain fatty acids. And this is actually the end of the chain where there's prebiotics, probiotics, which are the bugs that are eating them. And then these are what are called actually postbiotics. So ideally, if your smoothie's going great here, you're going to be making some of these based on the good bugs that you're putting in and everything that they're eating. But we kind of like to hedge our bets at Anabolic Aces here, so we always like to kind of add a little supercharger in. So this is something that we tend to add in just to make sure that everything's kind of cooking smoothly here.
So yeah, this is basically what we put into our smoothie. The amounts you kind of have to play with and figure it out on your own. Like what we have cut up over here is about the amounts we put into one smoothie. That will be enough for both of us, and probably have a little bit of leftover. With adding like a tablespoon or something of each of the nuts and seeds, and about a scoop of each of the protein powders, a little bit of the sweetener, maybe like a piece of apple, and all these cut up vegetables. And then for the liquids, like if you're saying like kombucha, almond milk, filtered water, coconut water, those are great sources of liquid for your smoothie. And just blend it up and drink to your gut health.
Yeah, and for the liquid, a good last tip here on this is that whenever you get, however much volume you get in here, fill it up with water to maybe, a couple inches below that line, so you're going to get that right blend of kind of solids to liquid, because that way you're not going to get a super soupy smoothie. You don't want too much water to fiber ratio, because that'll kind of impair the digestion. You don't want it to be like a real thick paste either, so that's kind of how I like to ballpark it. Yeah, the whole point of this is to not stress too. It doesn't mean you have to eat exactly these ingredients. This is just an example of what we happen to have in our drawer. The main point is that you want a big variety of vegetables. Even basically look at it as like, pick the vegetables you don't like, the weird ones, the ones you've never heard of, the ones that are weird colors, like, you know, like this watermelon radish, things that are like, wow, I've never eaten that before. Great, put it in your smoothie. That's the whole point.
Some herbs, like this is cilantro.
Yeah, and so the more of this diversity you get and the more things you rotate through, the more you're gonna feed different bugs in your gut, you're gonna have a healthy microbiome, and that's what's really gonna help start, you know, turning these things around, helping to balance hormones naturally, helping to heal leaky gut, helping to reverse food sensitivities, all the things that we test for with like our functional lab testing. This is really where the rubber kind of meets the road to create a sustainable habit. If you can do this every morning or even, you know, say 4 or 5 days a week, it could make a huge difference in your overall health, your brain health, detoxification, all these different aspects. So super highly recommended. That's why we wanted to put together this video and this article for you guys to be able to implement this in your life, to be able to kind of supercharge and, you know, maximize the money you're spending on your supplements and your probiotics. And this is really one of the coolest ways that we found to do that. So
yeah, so some of the examples of the actual like vegetables and roots that we're using here, and the herbs are in this article, and the approximate amounts. And again, like we said, kind of play with the amounts, you know, add things to taste, remove things you don't like, and play around with that. But this is kind of a general representation of kind of what we're talking about. So yeah, so this is your gut health smoothie recipe.
all right, and yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, always drop us a line.
Away.
Facebook comments are on the article, and we'll help you guys out. So as always, we're
Peace.
Chad and Natasha. Cheers, and we'll talk
Peace
next
out.
time.